Okay, so in the show notes for this, I said you really have to stop being so realistic. Now, how many times have you heard that? To be realistic. You have these dreams, you have these desires, and so then you've got it's like you've got two enemies to them things. The first one is the voices inside your head that are telling you, and it boils right down to that's just not realistic to think that, to feel it, to believe that. And then heaven help you if you tell anybody outside, because they're going to say the same thing. You've got to be more realistic. I mean, that's really cool to think about, but let's get realistic. Let's get real here. And I'm going to show you why that is just so dumb. at least, at least if your desire, and it is because you're watching this, is to grow and expand and evolve outside of what you've always experienced. So let's get to Mr. Flip Chart. Come on, there he is. Here's a circle. Come on. Whoa. I had to wake up a pen. Okay, there's a circle, and this you could call your normal. So any experience, so whether it's a thought, okay, or whether it's a physical experience, that is a normal occurrence, fits inside this circle of what you would call normal, or what you would call expected, or what you would call realistic. So whether it's a thought or whether it's a physical experience, right? And usually this is going to apply to your thoughts. Whether it's a thought or desire in your mind, when you observe that, if you label that as normal or a very realistic desire, what that's saying is it fits inside of here. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And if it's a desire, if it's a flavor of an experience that you like to continue to repeat, well, then just keep repeating it. But here's the sucky part about that. We're not designed to repeat the same experience over and over and over. That's why the short story is you're never going to be completely satisfied with where you're at, because you're not designed to be completely satisfied with where you're at. There's always going to be more and more and more. Why? Because the universe is always about expansion, right? The universe is about growing and expanding outside of this. So we could say that for our purposes here, this is realistic and this is unrealistic, right? Now, this is a word that you use a lot. Or you could say what's normal or what's not normal, or what's achievable, what's not achievable, right? The big one is pretty much any desire that you have that fits in here, you're going to have at least some idea of how you can, keywords here, make it happen. So a desire that fits in here, first of all, how do you know it's one of those? First of all, it's going to feel very realistic, or another word you could use is logical, right? This is very logical. It fits in here. This is crazy. And often those are the words that you say to yourself or other people. This is why when you're working on your desires, like the real juicy ones, don't tell anybody. Because with often the best of intentions, they're going to say, well, I mean, that's really cool, but let's just pull it back a little bit. Or that just doesn't make sense. Or that's just not logical. Or that's not really realistic. Now, in an ironic kind of way, if that's what they told you, that's your best indicator that you're going into the sweet spot, because now you are choosing to feel, to believe a desire that's out here, not one that's in here. Now, these are some really important key words that just kind of showed up. A desire in here is you have some idea. It may be difficult, it may be challenging, but you have some idea of how, keyword, you, and probably the big one is are going to make it happen. You see, by definition, a desire that's going to cause you, require you, allow you to grow and expand and evolve is not going to be one that you have any idea of how you can make it happen. When you have those desires, those ones that really feel good, at least initially, until the voices inside your head are heaven help you tell somebody and they tell you that you're crazy, that's not achievable, how are you going to do that? And then you go back into the inside, right? Is you're in this, that's too much, that's too big, that is too unrealistic. But those desires that are going to spur on that growth, at the least initially, and probably damn near all the way through it, the gestation phase, are going to seem very unrealistic. But that's one of the best indicators that now you're in this spot here, that your desire is here, not here. And so it's so important that your desires be unrealistic. Now, what does that mean? That means you have no idea, no freaking idea of how you can make it happen. Now, this is one of the most important things and probably one of the most challenging things when you're manifesting those desires. Is first of all, when it's in here, you have an idea of the how. When it's out here, you have no idea. Whoops. Oh, goodness. Let's try spelling that right. You have no idea of how it's going to happen. You don't have a clue of the how. It feels really good, at least initially, until my voices tell me I can't really have it. But when it's feeling really good, and the voices will often say, how in the hell are you going to make that happen? Well, you see, that's the key. You don't have any idea. And if you don't have any idea how you're going to make it happen, now you're in the sweet spot. This is why you got to get crazy. You got to get just freaking insane and go, there's no way I know how this can happen. My logical mind has no clue how it can happen, but it feels so good. Okay. The next one is in here, it's about how you are going to make it happen. When it's something that's out here, it's not about you. Let me explain this. I've either had not enough coffee or too much because this printing is really bad. What I mean when I say it's not about you, and it kind of fits in with the no idea, is you're not the one that's going to make it happen. And it'll flow into this next one here right away. So those desires that are the sweet spots, are the real juicy ones, that are one that are really going to change your world, are the ones that you have no idea, no freaking idea how it's going to happen. And so therefore, it's not about you making it happen. See, that's the key. You can't make these happen. That's the whole purpose of it. In here, in here, it's about making it happen. Out here, it's about allowing. And another word is surrender. It's about allowing it to happen. By surrendering, one of my favorite mantras, if you will, is I surrender to the process. It's the wintertime up here in Alberta, Canada, so there's lots of snow and ice and shit. And get your car stuck. And sometimes, just get stuck a little bit. You get a couple of people, you can kind of push it out. Other times you get stuck so bad, you're just not going to do it. You're going to have to get somebody else or a tow truck or somebody with a big truck with a nice big chain, hook onto it or a sling, and actually pull it out for you. You see, surrendering to the process. What's the process? The process is this big ass 4x4 truck with lots of weight in the back with this nice big sling that's going to hook onto your car that's stuck and pull it out for you. You don't have to do anything. Maybe sit in it and steer. right? But that's it. Because you can't push it out under your own strength. But those desires that really are the life changing ones, you can't make them happen under your own strength. But what you and myself all too often, it's strong, don't realize that there's this big ass 4-wheel drive truck with a sling that if you would just stop pushing, it'll hook up the sling to that car and it'll pull that sucker out just like nothing. We call it the creative flow. I mean, you can call it whatever words you want. Law of attraction. I mean, there's so many of them. There's this immense power, this power source that is designed to take those desires that you have no idea how they're going to happen, that they're crazy, unrealistic, all that kind of stuff, and bring them to fruition. But here's the son of a gun with that. Is you got to let it do its work. Because this creative force won't force itself on us. Now, it's always present and it's always moving upon us. But if you really want to accelerate things, if you really want to grab hold and see, shit change, right? It's about stop trying to push the car out yourself, stepping back, surrendering, and allowing this creative force to grab hold of that desire and to give it form in your physical world. But it really has no idea. Like, are you going to hook up like this big ass 4-wheel drive with a sling and everything? Are you going to hook that up to a car that's sitting on dry pavement? Of course not. Why would you? Because that car can drive wherever it wants. Right? So in order to access that, in order to even bring it into the picture, you have to, yes, I'm going to use those words, you have to start to choose to believe and feel and support and protect those desires that are so unrealistic, they're bordering on or they're completely immersed in insanity. Right? Those ones that you have no clue how you are going to make it happen. Because when you do that, when you hold on to that, when you protect that from the voices in your head, and if you've told somebody, well, again, from them a lot of times, you protect that. You hold on to that and you let go of how it's going to manifest. Let go of trying to figure out how it's going to manifest. Let go of looking for how am I going to make this work. Just hold on to that desire and surrender to the process. I surrender to the process. So whatever those desires are that you have, maybe you haven't even entertained them for quite some time because you've been conditioned to only believe in the things you already have, not to believe in the things that you really, really want. You've been conditioned to settle, right, instead of stretch. Bring those desires up in your awareness right now. And if you can't bring up one right up now, one up right now, just hold on to it and you will. But when you bring that into your awareness and you start to feel that momentary pleasure, right? Often before the pain kicks in of you can't have this, it won't ever work, all that kind of stuff. When you feel that momentary pleasure, as soon as you feel that, what I want you to do is this mantra. Focus on your breath, right? Powerful, deep, conscious breathing. I surrender to the process. I surrender to the process. Surrender. I allow that creative force that creates worlds act on my behalf to bring this to fruition. I stand ready, willing, and able. Whenever something is required of me, I will have the sensitivity and the discernment to identify it and to do it. As soon as it's done, I surrender to the process. Stop being so realistic. Entertaining only realistic goals is not going to allow you to grow. Start believing in the unbelievable and letting go of the how it could ever happen. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. That was a really good show. Share, share, share. We're all in this together. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Well, see you on the